Alright, hello and welcome to the Stardrive How to Make a Ship tutorial. I'm going to make this a relatively short video just explaining some of the basics behind how to make a ship. Now this particular hull design is the Humans Capital Dreadnought. Not quite a Titan, but it's still pretty darn massive, which means we have a lot of room to play with here. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. One of the first things you're going to need when building a ship is a power plant. Now at this late stage in the game, you're probably going to want to use the main engineering plant. Not only does this provide you a lot of power, but it also provides a ton of repair and a ton of power storage as well. As you can see here on the left hand side of the screen under active module, you'll see the different, how much mass it costs, how much health the particular item has, how much power it generates, how much repair it gives you, and then various other statistics thereof. Now, I'm going to go ahead and continue to fill this out just a little bit. Now, one of the things I like to do when designing a ship is I like to have everything symmetrical as much as possible. I've noticed some of the ship designs though don't quite have perfect symmetry to them, and it might just be a little bit of an oversight on Zero's part, but we'll see. So after you have some basic power down, the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out how to do your engines. And now I'm going to put a couple Titanic Capital Warp engines down. They take up the most space, but they also provide a ridiculous amount of speed. As you can see on our right hand side, you can see your faster than light speed there. And right now we're kind of pushing some rather serious limitations there. So give me a second while I figure out how exactly I want to set that up, and it should be good. It's either that, or we could do something like this and go with, hold on. There, that should do it. Now, if you have a singular module like this engine that I have on my mouse right now, if you left click and drag, it will place that engine everywhere that you are placing your mouse cursor, as long as you hold the button down. Alright, now that our engine setup is complete and we have some symmetry to it, we can continue to design the other aspects of our ship. Now, one of the things I'm going to probably do is move these engineering stations out just a little bit more. Which, give me just a second, I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, now, protecting your particular engines, okay, so we messed that up a little bit. We might even just have to keep them close together like that, or give me a second. Anyway, protecting your engines is actually a rather important thing to do in Stardrive. What we're going to do here is we're going to change this up just a little bit and put a couple power conduits. Okay, that's not going to work. Alright, never mind. Anyway, as you can see, even though I do have like a good amount of experience in making ships, it is still a ongoing process. Okay, so as I was saying, one of the things you really want to do when designing your ship is to have protection for the important pieces of equipment. This being said, your engines and other particular parts of the ship, these engineering bays for example, are extremely important. So you're going to want to have them as protected as possible. Now, the other thing is you need some way to control the ship, right? So the Combat Information Center, which you can see here, has repair capabilities, has some defense, takes some power, but is the most robust particular piece of equipment out there for its purpose. Now, I don't know if I need a bridge, but I always put a bridge on there anyway. I'm also a believer in having the ship make sense as well. Like, I don't like building ships that, you know, aren't really feasible, for example. Now that you have your engineering department and you have some control, you can go ahead and protect these with some internal bulkheads. Now if you get to the point where you are actually taking damage on the internal bulkheads, then things have gone horribly wrong. But this will provide you at least enough defense to hopefully get your ship moving and get it out of harm's way. So we're going to go ahead and set that up here. And it's hard to hold the push to talk button and do that at the same time, but we'll see. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is you want to decide, is your ship going to be a munitions ship or a energy ship? And both sides have their advantages and disadvantages, and we're going to go ahead and make ours sort of a combination of both at this particular time. The other thing to consider while you're building these defenses is how you're going to set your shields up. And what I've just done there is I've set up 2 canopy shields, which are some of the largest shields out there. So, let's see here. The other thing to consider is once you start getting all these massive, you know, ship parts going, your ship is going to start to get really heavy. So the inertial dampener helps reduce your mass, but at a cost of your power. So it reduces 90 mass per unit, and I like putting a few of them on there just to keep things moving fast. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna be quiet for a while and just go ahead and build this ship while you guys watch. Now the repair drone launcher, which I'm going to set up right now, launches drones, but the drones cost munitions to actually use, right? So even though I have those set up right now, we don't really have any ammunition storage, so they're not really going to do anything for us just yet. Now, I'm a huge fan of the EMP weapons in this game because they really hamper your opponent's ability to fight back. And I'll only put a couple on here because we're going to be using more like beam style weapons for this particular ship. Alright, so right now we've set it up to be a rather forward-facing weapon of war. I'm going to go ahead and set up some armor to help out with that forward-facing side, right? Because you want the most armor that you can put on the areas that you think you're going to take the most damage. And since this ship is going to be facing forward most of the time, I want to protect the forward part of my ship the most. So I'm going to set that up to be that way. Now the other thing you'll notice is none of this has power up here, which we're going to try to fix, and hopefully it will work out. And it's okay to have another main engineering up here in the front too. Now you see I just made a mistake and took out my canopy. If you hold control and then push Z, it'll undo the last step you just did. So now we've got that set up. Now we used up a little bit more space than we would have liked, but that's okay. Now the forward part of our ship, this is going to be a forward-facing ship, so the forward part of our ship is going to be the most heavily protected. That being said, we shouldn't ignore the other areas of the ship that are important, but at the same time, they're not going to need as much protection. As you can see, the small steel plate has 1020 health, but has 18 mass, so it's pretty heavy. By comparison, the small plasteel armor has a mass of 9, but a health of 720. So for a lot less health, but also at the same time less mass, you can make a larger, more heavily armed ship, so to speak. Again, I'm a huge fan of symmetry. So now that our ship is armored, and we have some of our main weapons up here, we also need to take in consideration some more defense, right? Like defending our ship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to energy cannon, and a lot of people say that the point defense laser cannons are kind of pointless, but they're actually not. They're extremely useful for protecting your ship against missiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a few of these over here. Now, one of the things to consider as you're making your ship, and by the way, I'm moving the ship with right click out here on the side of the ship. But one of the things to consider is when you're designing these really large ships like this one, you're going to have a ton of weapons, so it's a good idea to start deciding what direction your point defenses and all that fun stuff is going to be facing as you go, because it's going to get way too hard and confusing later if you have this whole thing filled up with all of these modules and then you have no way to actually choose it. So to move it, left click on your turret, and then left click on this particular, like the cone, to decide what direction this is going to face. So I have the first one facing forward, and then I make this other one go a little bit to the left. This one's going to go more direct left, and then this one will kind of move somewhere in between. So to look at this view, you push tab and it brings it up, right? And you push tab again, it goes away. Push left on that one again, and this one will also go left. So now we just need to do that again on this side. And that one was going to go like that. This one goes direct left. This one will also go direct left, and this one will also go, oh, excuse me, right. I'm saying left. Okay. So now that that's set up for those guys, we're going to set up a couple more defense weapons. And these are going to be the Phalanx weapon systems. Which is kind of funny because I actually worked on the Phalanx in real life. So we're going to go ahead and cross this right armor plate here. And then that way we know to make this one symmetrical and cross this left armor plate here. So now we have two forward facing, but they also cover each other here in the middle for best, most optimal coverage. Now that this is a rather energy heavy ship, we want to be able to sustain fire. So I'm going to use these armored fuel cells instead of internal bulkheads right here in the middle. What that's going to do is it's going to give us another layer of defense, but at the same time provide energy for our energy weapons. Now the Sickbay, I'm not really sure what it does, but I like having one on there, again for continuity reasons of the ship, and making it, you know, like a viable actual ship. So I'm going to put that there, and it says that it helps out the Marines, but maybe it's their maybe it's the actual health of the Marines. Like, you'll see the Marines have a number of like 10 on them, and then when they take damage they're down to like 6. Maybe when they get back on board the ship it makes them back up. That's probably what it does, and I just haven't used it that way yet. Now you'll notice here down on the right hand side we have recharge at warp minus 4,596 power. In other words, we're pretty much going to warp for about 2 seconds and then be out of power because we only have 9,420 power. So we need to fix that. And by fixing that, we're going to add a couple more main engineering in strategic locations that's going to give us power to our outboard wings here, for example. That's going to increase our power, but we're still not quite there yet. So we need to add a few more power plants to the mix. And again, place these strategically so that you are getting power to areas that you need it. There, now we have the recharge at warp temporarily solved, but we're still going to need to fix it. Even though this is a forward-facing ship, it doesn't mean that we should ignore the rear. And I particularly like the torpedo cannons, the torpedoes rather. They're very useful. Now you notice that this particular area right here has no power. But that doesn't matter because as long as the module has at least one powered portion of it, you can go ahead and put it there. So now these missile launchers will work while they're there. Now again, when designing these large ships like this, one of the things you need to consider is what's it going to take for you to actually make this ship? Like, how much resources is it going to cost? Not only that, but how much time is it going to cost? With that in mind, you're going to want to keep your ship self-sustainable. And to do that, I'm adding these bombs so that this ship can act as pretty much a planetary destroyer. Alright, so now we have pretty much our basic armor and our basic other aspects, right? So now we need to start considering some other fun stuff. For example, I mentioned these inertial dampeners earlier. We're going to go ahead and place some of these now. Okay, so I accidentally clicked off the screen there and crashed. This is another one of my designs that I nicknamed the Battlestar. And it relies on a lot of redundancy, similar to the design that I was showing you just a minute ago, but this one relies more on fighter craft than the other one did. Again, I have a robust amount of defense. We have these shield generators here. Basically, my principle of design is symmetry and functionality. Especially on these larger capital ships, I want these ships to last in battle for a long time. I hope that you've enjoyed this little tutorial, and I'll see you guys next time.